You achieved something. Something real. Something you worked years for. And the moment it happened, the promotion, the milestone, the number in your account, the thing you said you wanted, you felt it for maybe a day, maybe a week, and then it was gone, replaced by this quiet, hollow feeling you can't quite name. And instead of celebrating, you were already looking at the next thing, already dissatisfied, already not enough. And here's the part nobody ever says out loud. You don't think you're ungrateful. You know you should feel proud. You just don't. Not really. Not the way other people seem to. If that hits somewhere deep, keep watching. Because by the end of this, you'll understand something about yourself that most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. Picture this. It's a Sunday evening in late autumn. Maybe 2019, maybe last year. It doesn't matter. You've just gotten the news, the raise, the acceptance, the result. Your phone is blowing up with congratulations. Someone opens a bottle of something. People are smiling at you, toasting you, telling you how proud they are. And you're smiling back. You're saying thank you. You mean it, sort of. But underneath the noise, there's this voice. Quiet, but persistent. Already asking, okay, so what's next? Already measuring the gap between where you are and where you think you're supposed to be. Already doing the math on everything you still haven't done. And here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. It's not a character flaw. It's not ingratitude. It's not even ambition exactly. It's something much older than that. Something that was wired into you long before you ever had a goal to chase. And the name for it is something psychologists call chronic achievement dissatisfaction. And it runs far deeper than most people realize. Now here's where it gets really interesting. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who set and achieve goals experience what researchers call hedonic adaptation at a dramatically faster rate than they predict. Translation: your brain chemically adjusts to good news faster than you emotionally prepare for it. The dopamine spike, that neurological reward your brain releases when you hit a milestone, fades in hours, sometimes minutes, and your baseline sense of satisfaction resets. Every single time. A separate Harvard study on high achievers found that 67% of people who reached a major professional goal reported feeling significantly less fulfilled than they anticipated within 90 days. 67%. That's not a minority experience. That's most people who achieve things. And here's the fascinating part. The brains of chronically dissatisfied achievers don't malfunction. They're actually hyperactive in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for future planning and pattern recognition. Your brain isn't broken. It's running a program, a very old program. And to understand where that program came from, we need to go back, way back. When you were somewhere around 7 or 8 years old, you learned something about love that you were never explicitly taught. You learned that approval had conditions. Maybe it wasn't dramatic. Maybe nobody was cruel. But somewhere in your household, in the way a parent lit up when you brought home a perfect score or went quiet when you didn't, you made a silent calculation. Performance equals worth. By the time you were 12, that equation was infrastructure. It wasn't something you thought about. It was just the operating system. You studied harder, tried harder, pushed further. Not because you loved the outcome, but because the outcome meant something about you, about whether you were enough. And here's the cause-effect chain that nobody draws for you. For when achievement becomes the language of love, satisfaction becomes dangerous. If you feel satisfied, you stop pushing. If you stop pushing, you stop performing. If you stop performing, what are you then? The dissatisfaction isn't a malfunction. It's a protection mechanism. Your nervous system learned that staying hungry kept you safe. This is also why so many people who grew up in the 80s and 90s, raised in households shaped by recession anxiety, immigrant hustle, or relentless productivity culture, carry this wiring so deeply. The culture handed you the same message your home did. Rest is laziness. Contentment is complacency. Achievement is survival. And you believed it because it worked until it didn't. But wait, there's a darker side to this. Here's what's fascinating about this psychology. It is simultaneously your greatest gift and your most exhausting burden. And this explains why you probably have a complicated relationship with your own success. On one hand, you do things other people don't. You finish what you start. You push through discomfort. You hit targets, and then you set bigger ones. In a room full of people, you're often the one who actually gets things done. That drive, that relentless internal pressure, has built real things, real results, real evidence of what you're capable of. But on the other hand, you can't enjoy any of it. Not fully, not without the asterisk. And this explains why you minimize your achievements in conversations. Someone compliments what you've built, and you immediately list everything that's still missing. This explains why you feel vaguely irritated when people call you successful. Because from the inside, it doesn't look like success. It looks like an ongoing audit of all the ways you're still falling short. This explains why rest feels like a threat, why holidays are tinged with anxiety, why even your happiest moments have a ceiling you can feel but never quite touch. You're not broken. You're running a program that was written for a version of your life that no longer exists. And that's a very different problem. And this explains everything about your relationships too. Because here's where society gets this completely wrong. People around you, partners, friends, colleagues, they see the dissatisfaction and they diagnose it as arrogance, as never being pleased, as impossible standards. They say things like, "You should be grateful," or "Why can't you just enjoy this?" And they mean well. They do, but they're misreading the signal entirely. While everyone else sees someone who can't be satisfied, what's actually happening is that you're someone who has never been given permission to be satisfied. There's a difference, a profound one. Arrogance says, "This isn't good enough for me." What you carry says, "I'm not good enough yet." Those are opposite directions, and the strength buried inside this trait is real. People with chronic achievement drive are disproportionately represented among the most innovative, most impactful, most resilient individuals on the planet. Not because they're superhuman, but because they never fully stop. The same nervous system that won't let you rest also won't let you quit. The same voice that whispers, "Not yet," also whispers, "Keep going," when everyone else has given up. The world has benefited enormously from people who were never satisfied. It just rarely stops to tell them that. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds reframes everything. The truth is, never feeling satisfied isn't a sign that you're failing to appreciate your life. It's a sign that somewhere along the way, you learn to locate your worth entirely outside yourself, in results, in reactions, in the next milestone. And that changes everything. Because it means this was never really about success at all. It was always about safety, about proving something, about earning a feeling of enoughness that nobody ever just gave you. And here's the reframe that matters. Satisfaction was never supposed to come from the achievement. It was supposed to come before it. You were always supposed to be enough before the result. The result was just supposed to be the expression of that, not the evidence. You don't need to achieve your way to worthiness. You never did. So here you are, someone who has built things, hit targets, kept going when it made no logical sense to keep going. Someone who has smiled through celebrations while a quiet voice asked, "Okay, but what now?" You're not ungrateful. You're not broken. You're not impossible to please. You're someone who learned very early that love had to be earned, and you became extraordinary at earning it. That's not a flaw. That's survival. That became strength. That became everything you've built. But you're allowed to put the proof down now, just for a moment, You're allowed to let today's version of you be enough, not because you've finally done enough, but because you always were. That hollow feeling after every win, it's not telling you that you failed. It's telling you that you're looking for something in the wrong place. And now, for the first time, you know where to look. If this resonated with something you've never quite been able to explain about yourself, you'll want to watch this next.